Hiya, and welcome back to Home Somewhere Else, the game that teaches us that Jenny's bitch slaps could probably kill Goku. Ah. I swear to God. Anyways, let's hop right in. Fred kindly opens the door for the two of you. Jenny, gently, pushes you outside along with Fred, locking the cafe behind you both. Your whole body tenses up immediately. A swift, chilly breeze freezes your bones. It's definitely a lot colder than it was 4 days ago. She's already in the perfect pose for that. She's already in the perfect pose for it. She could literally just like... And Fred would be down. He'd be down for the count. Holy hell, it's cold. Oh, you noticed? Yeah, when did this happen? Do you need my jacket? Nah, I'll be okay. I got you, fam. You turn around to find Jenny proudly holding up a thick jacket. Where was she hiding that? I wasn't sure what your size was, but you and Fred look pretty similar. Try it on. Geez, thank you, Jenny. You slide your arms into the jacket's sleeves and hastily button it up. It's a nice fit. The inside is soft and warm to the touch, and pretty effective at warming you up. You take a relieved breath and move your arms around. This jacket fits you like a glove. It doesn't impede your movement at all. Does Jenny just have like a pocket dimension? Like always in, like she just has to like reach into her jacket pocket and just pull something out. I swear to God, she has a pocket dimension in there. It's like fucking Kirby. It can hold everything. I love it. Thanks again, Jenny. No problem. Now you look like a real Chad. As if, Jenny. Let's get going. Jenny smiles as she takes the lead, walking a few feet in front of you and Fred. You lean close to Fred's ear as the three of you begin the trip. Do I really look like a Chad? Yes, Chad. Absolutely, Chad. Damn. As he elbows you playfully, you can't help but feel a little embarrassed. You both follow the wayward rabbit, the three of you heading straight for the school. It doesn't take long to arrive at the bustling schoolhouse. The whole pack was buzzing with anticipation. You're greeted by the sight of children and parents bustling around the main gate, many parents kissing their kids goodbye before leaving them in the care of Mr. Lorenzo. The three of you approach the elderly lion, who seems busy greeting everyone who comes his way. Yo, Mr. Lorenzo! The old man notices you guys, his ears perking up at the sight. Oh, you must be from the archival team. Are you all ready to sort the school's records? The three of you tilt your heads with perfect synchronization, all looking confused and befuddled. No, Wonderful, please head to my office right away then. Mr. Lorenzo scurries you inside the school, acting completely nonchalant all the while. Once inside, you can hear the old man continue to greet parents and allow children inside. You shrug off that weird greeting with you and Fred following Jenny, who skips towards the principal's office. You're led into a strangely nostalgic room with the rabbit closing the door behind the two of you. Oh my God, the principal's office! I can't even remember the last time I was here! Jenny seems oddly giddy about being here, almost as if she's met her childhood friend. Well, I sure do. I remember us being here on the first day being here every day from our first day of class till our last. Shut your trap, pup! You can't just divulge that type of info on a whim. Jenny gets close to you and links her arm with yours. You know I'm a good girl, right, Chad? Oh yeah, 100% good girl. You're goddamn right I am. Jenny sticks her tongue out at Fred, who chuckles defiantly. Be careful, Chad. You know what they say about good girls, right? Yeah, I know. Know what? What are you guys trying to say? Nothing. Jenny pulls her arm away and shoots you a sour look. You chuckle because you actually have no idea what Fred was implying. Anyways, what was that whole charade about? I don't know, to be honest. Maybe he was taking extra precautions? We really need to play along next time. Doosan's a powerful man. He may have people keeping an eye on things for him. And Mr. Lorenzo is probably aware of that possibility. So we need to play it cool from now on. Yeah. Got it. So, Fred looks at you with an inquisitive look. So while we wait for Thony, do you want to, Oh, right. Tell us what happened. I don't mean to pry, but when your best friend shows up with your star employee nearly beaten to death, you tend to have some questions. Right. Are you okay with explaining what happened? Let me turn up the music a bit. Yeah, don't worry. We're in this together, and I at least owe you guys an explanation. Okay, buddy. Alright, so, yesterday. You mean 4 days ago? Yeah, sorry. I got a little confused. After I said goodbye to you, Jenny, Fred, and I were supposed to meet up at the park after I picked up Thony from school. When I got here, Mr. Lorenzo said that Thony's father had already picked him up. I called Kathy to tell her, and she told me to come to the park immediately. I went there, but I only found Thony at first. He was crying and scared. Doosan had done something to his arm. He kept on rubbing it. Doosan showed up behind me and threatened Thony for talking to me. Thony looked so scared. He wouldn't stop crying. Poor kid. I told him I was taking Thony with me, but then I saw Kathy on the floor and she wasn't moving. You feel your chest tighten at the thought. You want to burst out crying, but you do your best to hold it all in. I was holding on to Thony when I went over to try and help Kathy, but Doosan grabbed him by the arm and nearly ripped him in half. You quickly grab your mouth as you feel your stomach turn. Remembering Thony being yanked like a rag doll is almost enough to make you puke. Jenny gasps while Fred puts a hand on your shoulder. You look at him with watery eyes, nodding before slowly continuing your account. I let go of Thony's arm. I didn't want him to get hurt anymore. Thony kept crying and begging Doosan to let him go. And that thing punched Thony in the back of the head. The poor kitten went limp and his dad just dropped him on the ground like he was garbage. That sent me over the edge and I went straight for his face. And I punched it fuck all. The man didn't even flinch. Wait, he didn't flinch at all? Not even a little. Dear God, Chad, I'm not trying to be funny, but you're muscular as hell. I wouldn't be surprised if you could punch through trees with those arms. Honestly, I thought I stood a chance, but then he punched me so hard I vomited. When that happened, I knew I was done. But I didn't give up, especially when he got close to Thony. I stood up to punch him again, and... You rub your sore fist, remembering how Doosan effortlessly dodged your magic hand, only leaving a small cut on the lion's smug face. You know better than to tell them about your strange power, although the thought about coming clean crosses your mind more than once. And you look at them once more, clearing your throat before continuing. And nothing. It didn't even affect him in the slightest. This time he punched me even harder and then kicked my head and stomach a few times for good measure. What hurt more was that Kathy tried to defend me. She tried to fight him, but... Once more, the thought of Kathy and Thony being demolished by that animal makes your heart quiver. But she didn't stand a chance against him either. The last thing I remember is Kathy and Thony's bodies being dragged away. Then there was nothing. You take a shaky breath as you try to mentally collect yourself while Fred and Jenny look at you silently. What the fuck is his problem? Your heart jumps as Jenny bursts out of her silence, pacing around the small room angrily. What kind of spineless asswipe beats the crap out of some little kid and a poor woman? Does he have no shame? I guess not. Maybe this is what power does to people. And all of this happened at the park. In the middle of the day? Yeah. It wasn't even raining until I got there. And there was no one there at all? Nope. The first thing I did was look for someone else to be a witness or maybe even call the police. He said he made sure that no one would be in the park. That checks out. I don't know what he did exactly, but when I got to the park gate, it was locked from the inside. I honestly had no idea why, but considering everything that happened, it makes sense. I guess it all comes together. But Fred, how did you get in then? I have my ways. The rabbit raises an eyebrow at the man, and you can't help but follow suit. Why has Fred been deflecting so much? So, is that everything that happened? Basically. I can't remember anything else. Alright, so to continue with your story, I managed to get into the park and arrived at the lookout. I was caught off guard by how empty the place was. And then I noticed something was happening near the bridge. I couldn't exactly see what was happening, but I got worried and ran down the hill. That's when I found you. You were all bloody and barely breathing. I tried waking you up, but you were unresponsive. The German Shepherd's tone is shaky and timid. It's easy to see that you're not the only one shaken when talking about that day. I knew I had to get you out of there, so I just grabbed you and ran like hell. Getting to the cafe was easy. The rain kept the streets empty, thankfully. I was shocked, to say the least. Seeing you nearly beaten to death and Fred so depressed, it broke my heart. But Fred and I have dealt with our fair share of emergencies, so thankfully we kept our heads cool. We brought you upstairs, patched you up the best we could, and, well, you know the rest. Right. I'm sorry, you guys. I've put you two through so much. I just didn't see it coming. I should have been more prepared. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. It's my fault you had to take on that guy all on your own. And I'm sorry too. For what? For slapping Chad? No. I'm sorry you guys are apologizing so much. What you went through sucks. It really, really does. But listen to me, man. Jenny looks at you with a stoic, commanding gaze. We have to keep moving, and you can't move forward if you're so focused on what's behind you. But you were the one who asked about what happened. Ugh, Chad. Details. What I'm trying to say is, and this goes back to you apologizing this morning, you need to move on. We won't be able to help Thony and Kathy if we're busy wallowing in self-pity. What happened, happened. All that matters now is that we're all alive, together, and we still have a chance to make things right. I get that, but I acted like a real dick to you both, and I owe you guys a proper apology. Dude, you already apologized, and I told you I'm not even angry. What I hate is this cycle of apologizing. Sorry I did this. I should have done that. Why didn't I do blah, blah, blah? You already apologized like I asked you to. That's it. You're done. Now it's time for you to stop being sorry and start being better. Is that really so much to ask? The rabbit's ears flop down as she turns her sullen face away from you. Something about the last sentence knocked the winds out of her sails. You want to say something, but Fred shakes his head while patting your shoulder. It's probably for the best, considering you don't even know what you'd say. You really can't place yourself in Jenny's shoes. You don't know where she is coming from, and much less of what she's been through. A few seconds of silence follow before a deep sigh from Jenny echoes in your ears. As if flicking a switch, Jenny turns back around with her usual chipper self. Well, with that out of the way, let's talk about last night. Yes, let's talk about last night. The metallic screeching of the doorknob stops Jenny dead in her tracks. The three of you turn around and face the entrance. The wooden door slowly opens to reveal Mr. Lorenzo's spectacled visage with a very familiar man behind him. Thony! The small kitten jumps forward past the elderly lion, barreling towards you with a teary smile. You quickly kneel down and hug the small kitten. The two of you hold each other tightly as if your lives depended on it. Mr. Chad, I thought I'd never see you again! You can feel hot tears on your skin as Thony nuzzles his head deeper into your neck. I've been so scared and... I don't know what to do, Mr. Chad. You pull yourself back a little and are met by an endless stream of hot tears. You try to wipe them away from the kitten's cheek, but they keep pouring on no matter what you do. You can't help but tear up yourself, turning your head away from Thony in shame. Real men don't cry. At least that's what you tell yourself. It's okay, Thony. I'm here for you. We're all here for you. Here, kid, blow your nose. Jenny hands Thony a napkin from her pocket. What all does she have in her pockets? Thony takes it and blows his nose. How have you been? How's your mother? Everyone in the room is waiting patiently for Thony's response. Mr. Lorenzo is listening quietly in front of the door. We haven't been able to leave home at all. That day I just woke up in my bed and Mom was there with me. She kept telling me that everything was going to be okay. Ever since, my dad hasn't allowed my mom to go outside and threw out all of my mom's coffee things. He had me attend school all these days, but no matter where I looked, you were nowhere to be found. He told me if I told anyone anything, he would hurt Mom. Hey kid, I'm amazed you were brave enough to tell us. For all these days, I've been afraid that if I told anyone, it would get worse. But I don't want anything bad to happen to my mom. I know I can't help her by being quiet. Sometimes I hear her crying in her room, and I ask her if she's okay, and she always tells me it'll be okay. I know it won't get better. Not if I don't do anything to help her. I wanted to warn you about my dad days ago, but I was too scared of what might have happened if you and him got in a fight. I don't know why my dad is like this. He used to be so nice and happy with me and Mom. He's a completely different person now. He's just not like this. Thony. We'll get to the bottom of this, so don't worry. We're going to help you and Kathy, but you need to hold on and be strong for your mom, okay? You flash your usual grin to the kitten, who smiles back despite the tears still drying near his eyes. Okay. Just 3 minutes left, everyone. Is there anything you or your mom need? Not that I can think of. Mom has been saying she wants to escape from my dad. She told me we can go with one of my aunts, but they live so far away from here. And I don't want to leave, Mr. Chad. I finally made a new friend here at school, and I don't want to leave you, Mr. Fred, or him behind. I know, buddy, but a part of you really wants to tell Thony to save himself no matter what. But you know that's not something the small kitten needs to hear right now. But we'll do everything we can so you don't have to leave. I give you my word, Thony. Just keep your head up and continue to be a good kid. You're already so strong, you're only 10. Just imagine how you'll be when you're older like Fred and I. You'll be able to throw mountains, little buddy. I will? Absolutely. You'll flatten us in arm wrestling, too. Hold up! Hold up. But you need to stay strong, buddy. Also, let's not tell anyone about our little meeting, okay? I wouldn't dream of it. Please stay safe, Mr. Chad. You look like you went through a lot. I really don't want you to get hurt, Mr. Chad. Don't worry about me, kid. I'll be fine. Plus, Mr. Fred is here with me. He's going to help us from now on. Don't worry, Thony. Mr. Chad is in good hands. The tall German Shepherd raises an arm and flexes his massive bicep. You and Thony look on in amazement. Hey, what about me? Jenny butts in front of Fred with a dollar store smile in jazz hands. Yeah, what about that old lady over there? Oh, you mean Jenny? She's my boss. Yeah, she's with us too. Everyone hide. Everyone hide. Everyone duck and cover. Jenny's just going to bitch slap Chad and is going to shake the earth. The air seems to thicken as you realize your mistake. You called Jenny your boss. What have you done? Alright, everybody, time's up. It's time for you to go to class, Mr. Reese. Alright, Mr. Chad. I'll let Mom know that we need to hold on a little longer. And I'll be fine, so don't worry. I know you will be. You're stronger than you know. Thanks, Mr. Chad. Thony walks towards the door and Mr. Lorenzo holds it open. Alright, goodbye, Mr. Chad. Goodbye, Mr. Fred. Goodbye, ma'am. Jenny is completely silent, but you feel her eyes drilling into the back of your skull. Have a wonderful day, fine gentleman. And Jenny. Thank you so much, Mr. Lorenzo. The elderly lion gives you an appreciative nod before closing the door behind him and Thony. You can feel a black hole opening up behind you, sucking all the air and warmth from the room. When you finally decide to look back at Fred and Jenny, you look at Fred, who's vehemently shaking his head, ushering you to shut up. Or maybe he's telling you to run? Who's that old lady, Mr. Chad? Oh, that old carpet bag? We call her Jenny. She's from the old folks' home, partner. She's here to give you some hard candy and talk to you about life insurance. Jenny, not to mention she's my boss. Jenny flips her hair back with a disappointed sigh, her thick southern accent following her to the door. I'll be at the cafe with some lunch, 'cause that's what girl bosses do. But don't be late. Is Chad going to get bitch slapped again? Jenny exits the office with an exaggerated huff, leaving you and Fred staring at each other in awkward silence. The man just stands there, gritting his teeth in embarrassment. I think it's better to not talk about this. Ever. Deal. So, what's the plan now? Where do we start? I think I might have an idea. What do you have in mind? Remember Bruce? How could I ever forget? Well, we'll have to go to his place. Alright, but you have to promise me that you won't say anything unless I give you permission. Fred grabs your shoulders firmly and stares straight into your eyes. He's really not messing around. And no sudden movements either. Alright, but can you tell me a little bit more about why we're going there? All I can say is that this is incredibly risky, but if things go okay, this is the best lead we've got. Let's go then. Are you sure? I mean, do we have any other options? None that I can think of, no. Fred walks to the door with his shoulders held high. Then let's get going. We can't waste any more time. The two of you nod as Fred opens the office door and exits. Fred holds the door open for you as you exit into the school's corridor. The two of you finally reach the school's exit and are back in the frigid cold. Despite the awkwardness from inside the office, you miss the central heating. You both make your way across the road and quickly arrive at the park's lookout. Fred seems somewhat uneasy as he walks down the hill. Didn't he say that this Bruce guy was nice or something? You finally arrive at the park's bridge, but before either of you take more than a few steps forward, Fred stops dead in his tracks. The tall man turns around and notices your confused, clueless look. Let me do the talking, okay? You look into the man's eyes and are met with a warm yet stoic gaze. Fred smiles confidently as you nod your head in agreement. Alright, I trust you. If anything happens, just run. We'll meet back at the cafe. Got it. Should I mute my phone this time? Mute your... Fred stays silent for a second before bursting out laughing. No. We don't have to worry about that. Can you blame me for asking? We nearly got buried because of this darn thing. True, but let's get going for now. Fred motions you to follow him as he starts walking towards the dense tree line surrounding the park. With a shrug of your shoulders, you follow him through some bushes and trees. Just where the hell are we going? It doesn't take long for the two of you to be deep into the green inferno. The thick bushes cling to your clothes as you walk up the mountainside, getting farther away from Marimabo. Minutes crawl like hours as you wade through the sea of trees. The once flat, stable floor has been replaced by shattered rocks and raised roots. It almost feels like being on a monster's scar-ridden hide rather than walking on earthen ground. You look back for a second, amazed to see the entire city below you. Fred continues to walk higher and higher, seemingly determined to get to the top. Do you even know where we are heading? Shh. Huh? Shh. Don't shh me. Shh, Chad. Not a word from now on. You roll your eyes, shrugging off his rudeness as you continue to walk behind him. The one thing that has kept you motivated has been the fact that you're walking behind Fred. To say the view is pleasant would be an understatement. Just as you're beginning to feel drained, something catches your eye. Like an oasis in the desert, you approach the edge of a calm, tranquil lake. The sunlight glitters like diamonds across the surface of the clear water. Why does this feel so familiar? You take a few steps closer to the lush green pasture until Fred stops dead in his tracks, holding his hand up to stop you as well. Before he can make a sound, he slowly raises a finger to his lips. Fred squints his eyes and raises his ears, seemingly scanning the area for an unknown threat. Fred quickly looks up at the trees above with a mortified gasp. Chad, run! Run? Fucking run! You turn around and try to run, managing to get a couple steps away before... Hi, Bruce. Popping in like Batman, are we? Actually, do I have the Batman sprite loaded? No, that's not it. Do I have it? That's Ty. There's Doge. Fucking, Okay, where is Bat? There it is. There we go. A massive figure lands between the two of you with a thunderous crash, causing leaves and dirt to erupt into the air. Wait! A thick striped arm shoots through the air in front of you and slams into your neck, pinning you to a tree and quickly raising you up. The familiar tiger's grip clamps down on your neck tighter and tighter until you can no longer scream or breathe. You can see Fred's ears stand on end as he runs next to you. Bruce, wait! I can explain every... In the blink of an eye, the massive tiger grabs Fred by the neck and presses him against another tree trunk. However, Fred has the luxury of breathing, while you, on the other hand, are beginning to suffocate under the man's claws. You desperately throw kicks and punches towards the man, your eyes beginning to water as your air begins to run thin. Wait, Chad, no! Don't do anything! The towering tiger looks at you with anger and disgust, as if he's crushing a cockroach in his hands. You throw another punch, but your arm is quickly engulfed by one of his robe's scarf-like appendages. The cloth tightens and hardens around your arm like a cast. The scarf pulls your arm towards him, as if it's about to be ripped out of its socket. I can't go out like this. Bruce, stop, please, he's not a bat. We had a deal, Shepard. I let the scumbag live as long as neither of you came here. I trusted you, and you broke your oath. You have left me no choice in this matter. Wait, I can Silence! The tiger's grip on Fred tightens as his deep voice booms, forcibly shutting the German Shepherd up. You knew the costs of bringing him here, and yet, despite that, here you both are. The man's gaze slowly shifts back to you, his claws digging even deeper into your neck as his eyes narrow towards you. You have only yourselves to blame for this. You can see Fred's visage sink in despair, seemingly realizing this mistake will be fatal. He's got Fred too. We need to get out of this. You know you can't just kill us. There's too much at stake. I know the risks. Bruce looks at you once more. And I'm willing to accept them. The tiger's loathing glare pierces your soul. You can't fathom his unending hatred for you. You've brought nothing but misery into this world. You've caused us so much pain. But no longer. I'm sorry, Fred. You weren't supposed to know about this. Hiya! But I can't just let him hurt you. Not after everything you've done for me. Consequences. You close your eyes as you clench your free fist. Be gone. Chad, no! Wait! Be damned! Don't do it! Without a second's hesitation, you open your crimson eyes and throw a punch at the Tiger Man. His eyes shine a vibrant blue as your polygonal hand explodes to life in front of his face, colliding into his cheek with a soul-crushing splat. The man's grip suddenly releases from around your neck as he stumbles back a couple steps, seemingly stunned by the blow, though his scarf remains wrapped around your wrist, dragging you along. With a desperate yank, you unwind his scarf away from your hand and slip out of his grip, falling to the ground and gasping for air. You quickly move away from the man, who still has Fred firmly pinned against the other tree. The massive tiger rubs his eyes, seemingly regaining his composure at the same time you do. You take a deep breath and jump into a fighting stance, raising both of your fists up to your face and bouncing in place. Bruce looks at you before spitting on the ground in front of him, his gaze met by your glowing crimson eyes. Fred hangs there, dazed and astounded by what he just witnessed. Let Fred go. The air begins to feel electrified as the tiger stares you down, readying himself for your onslaught. You can't help but look at Fred before focusing back on your enemy. You hope and pray that you and Fred will make it out of this damned forest. The light sound of the lake's waves lapping against the shore, the howling wind, the singing birds, it's almost as if the whole world is going to be watching. The silence is suddenly interrupted by Fred's shout. Run, Chad! Don't try to fight him! But I can't just leave you here! Yes, you can! Fucking run! Seeing that he clearly wasn't getting anywhere with you, his focus turns back to Bruce. Bruce, please listen. The tiger quickly grabs Fred by the neck with his other hand and... Fred! You watch as the German Shepherd's body drop from Bruce's grasp, collapsing into the brush. He's singed and twitching, a thin veil of smokiness surrounding his crumpled form. The sight only serves to enrage you further, your fists clenching tighter and your claws threatening to puncture your palms. What the fuck did you do to him? Bruce's ire is now directed solely at you. I merely got him out of the way. Chad! Fred! Don't worry about me, Chad! The tiger's eyes shoot straight through your soul, glistening with untethered rage. You feel motionless as the man readies to pounce. Just whatever happens, meet me back at the caf. You draw back your fist, readying a mighty punch. But just as you throw your punch and the magical hand manifests from your body, the tiger's scarf rises and points directly at your extended arm. Suddenly your arm pulls back, seemingly on its own, pulling the magic hand back with it, which fades a moment later. Bruce, however, doesn't move a muscle, merely glaring at you with an authoritative, analytical gaze. Huh? You make to throw another punch, but as you do, a stinging pain pierces through your elbow, tightening your muscles and forcing your arm to retract once again. What the hell? Chad, you need to get away from him! Bruce's eyes fall from you for only a moment, another of his scarves pointing towards Fred's body. Silence, Shepherd! Fred begins to writhe on the ground, muscles tensing as he claws feverishly at the dirt beneath him, clearly in a tremendous amount of pain. You stare in utter confusion towards the scene for only a moment, before returning your ire to Bruce, fists clenching once again despite the pain. What are you doing to him? Stop! You have a burning feeling in your eyes, and you can't stand to watch Fred get hurt anymore. You run towards the tiger man as fast as your legs can carry you, throwing another magical punch at him. Bruce effortlessly dodges to the side, twisting himself around behind you. You spin on your heel, carrying the force of another punch back at him, but are stopped as the scarf points down at your legs, ravaging them with that same stinging pain. The hand flickers as you collapse down to your knees, but you keep your fist tightly clenched. The scarf idly lifts up, pointing again to your raised arm. The stinging manifests in your shoulder now, instantly numbing your whole arm. It collapses limply to your side, and your magical hand disappears entirely with it. Not again! Damn it! Bruce towers above you, menacing gaze fixed on you as you shakily stare up at him, wincing as you try to fight against the pain to move your body. His eyes are cold, as if you are a miserable prey that has fallen into its hunter's grasp. Your eyes start to burn even hotter. The tiger kneels down, meeting you at eye level. He scans your face deeply as you bury your fangs at him. He's so close. Move, damn it! Bruce grabs you by your muzzle firmly, shoving your gaze in Fred's direction. You fight with the one arm you can still use to free yourself from his grasp, but his grip is too tight. Get the fuck off me, you bastard! You can feel Bruce's muscles tense ever so slightly for just a brief moment, and his ear subtly flicks in response to the word. See, Shepherd? This is exactly what I was telling you. Your brain's working on overdrive, trying to figure out what to do, or at least what the hell is going on. All the while, your eyes are locked on Fred. No, it's not like that! You got it all wrong! You continue to try and free yourself from Bruce's hold. In fact, after Fred spoke, his grip only got tighter. Are you seeing something different than what it is right in front of your eyes, Shepard? Is your vision not working properly, or have you completely lost it? I said let me go! You throw a punch directly at Bruce's face, which succeeds in getting him to release you, but he hops backwards several times, quickly putting himself out of your reach. It's enough, though, and your magic hand quickly fades away once more. You fight against your paralyzed limbs to try and get them to move, but they're refusing to work with you. Do you honestly believe that a creature as pathetic as you could pull that trick off on me twice, dog? Fred doesn't look like he's able to move, but is paying close attention to what's happening around him. Before I put an end to this bothersome tribe of prey, tell me, what is your purpose in coming here? Didn't you tell me to come find you if I ever needed you? He said that? I did. But the circumstances have changed. Or maybe they had already changed and I simply did not notice. What the fuck are you talking about? What fucking circumstances? Bruce shakes his head, a somber gaze pointed at the ground for only a moment, before lifting back up to you. It is of little consequence. You still have not answered my question, dog. I brought him here. Bruce's attention shifts from you to Fred, and he begins to slowly approach him. That still does not answer my question, Shepard. Why did you come here? Stop wasting my time. You know why. You're just too blinded by hate to see it. Blinded? Says the man unable to see the truth laid so bare before him. How beautifully ironic. You slowly begin to feel your fingers again. Your eyes go wide as the tingling sensation creeps up your spine. Bruce's attention is fully shifted to Fred. This is my chance. Clenching your fist tightly, you adjust yourself on the ground ever so slightly before leaping to your feet, lunging at Bruce's back. As your polygonal hand is about to reach him, one of his scarves flicks upwards, erasing the hand as they connect. Yet again, stinging pain overwhelms your wrist. What is it with these stings? Are scarves causing them? I already told you, dog. Bruce is now facing you once again, slowly closing the short distance between you. Each word he speaks is dripping with ever-increasing fury and exasperation. That is not going to work again. As he nears, all of his scarves point in your direction, and your knees buckle under you, forcing you to kneel before him. Shit, not again. I can't move my freaking legs. Damn it, Bruce, stop. Before he can get any closer, though, a bone-chilling screech pierces through you from behind. What was that? You look up to Bruce to see his solid, resentful facade shattered, replaced by traces of nervous sweat and eyes fixated on the distance across the lake. Damn it. I've run out of time. This needs to end now. He shakes his head, returning his hateful gaze to you and raising his scarves to deal a finishing blow. God damn it, Bruce, stop! You barely manage to lift a hand in a vain attempt to shield yourself from whatever the tiger had in store for you. As he's about to finish it, though, something darts in between the two of you, causing Bruce to step backwards in a panic. It was too fast to make out what it was, and it disappears beneath the surface of the lake with a huge splash before you can get a better look at it. The pain begins to slowly fade, and your muscles finally begin to respond to you once again. Well, your arms at least. Bruce looks completely shocked. Instinctively, you glance back towards where the thing must have come from, but you can't see anything. Damn it! The man's sudden shout makes you jump, and when you look back up at him, you watch as he uses his scarves to launch himself into the trees, vanishing into the dense foliage. The sounds of feet thumping heavily against wood trails off into the distance, until all is once again quiet. You take a moment to take a deep breath and get your bearings, getting back to your feet. Your limbs are all shaky, and you can't tell if it's because of the adrenaline or Bruce's stings. Once you're confident enough in your stability, you turn your attention to Fred and go to his side, crouching down next to him and attempting to help him up. Hey, you okay? What the hell did he do to you? Don't worry about me. I'm fine. Listen to me, Chad. Please. You need to get as far away from here as possible. Right now. What? I can't just leave you here. That's enough. Just listen to me for once and fucking run. I still need time to recover, but you can run. I promise I'll be fine, but you have to go. We'll meet back at the cafe. You can hear another shriek from the direction Bruce dashed off, and this time it was way louder than before, So loud, in fact, that it stabs through your skull like a knife, causing you to wince and cover your ears. Before the ringing in your ears dies down, Fred shoves you away, shouting one last time at you. Go, damn it! God damn it, fine! You get back up to your feet, turning and beginning to run, but you stop only a few steps away, looking back over your shoulder. I'll kick your ass if I don't see you at the cafe, Fred. Without waiting for a response, you break out once more into a sprint, disappearing into the thick wall of trees the way back you came. What the hell is happening here? That damn German Shepherd? He had better fucking know what he's talking about. There's no way I'm going to let him keep me in the dark on this anymore. You keep running in the direction you think you originally entered from, but the forest is so dense and everything looks so similar that it's impossible to get a grasp on exactly where you are. The terrain is uneven and hard to navigate too. It's bumpy with big roots making ample tripping hazards, but you can at least tell that you're definitely heading down the mountain. With the brush so thick though, knowing you're going down it's about all you can do. It's next to impossible to see far ahead, so you keep your eyes glued to your feet, watching your step and only looking up every few moments to check to make sure you're not about to run directly into a trunk. Hell, I can't see a thing. If I keep going down, I'm bound to get to the road, right? God damn it, it's so hard to think. I can't stop worrying about Fred. You continue to run through the trees and bushes in no particular direction, each stop draining your already dwindling energy further and further. Suddenly, that same screech calls out through the forest, and you quickly look back over your shoulder, frantic eyes scanning the path behind you as you fight against burning lungs to suck in air. What the fuck? Is that thing following me? Whoa! Your foot painfully clips a thick root, sending you tumbling forward. You quickly realize that you're now falling down the mountain. You only roll a few meters before the ground below you angles sharply downwards, sending you hurtling painfully down a steep incline. Ah, shit! Every rock and dirt outcropping punches at you as you pass by, your hands desperately clawing outwards for something to grab onto. Your grasp eventually manages to find some loose branches, finally halting your rapid descent. As soon as you realize you've grabbed onto something, your other hand reaches up as well, clinging onto it with all your might. Shit. Fucking ow. That hurt so bad. You shake your head to get some of the debris you can feel in your hair out, then open your eyes, glancing upwards at the thin trail of destruction you left in your wake while your body processes the tremendous amount of pain you're in. You manage to spot a relatively flat outcropping nearby, at least flat enough that you can rest on it for a moment, but as you try to swing a leg up onto it, the branches in your hand creak, then snap, once again releasing you down the steep hill. Damn it, not again! At least this time you have a bit more control. You quickly roll onto your back, sliding down the loose, muddy surface, and are able to avoid ramming into any more trees. After falling a bit further, you finally see some flat, solid ground. Once you get close to it, you throw your body forward, rolling to a halt. As soon as you fully stop, you collapse backwards into the dirt, dizzy, dirty, and completely exhausted from everything that has happened, fighting with your stinging lungs to get some deep, full breaths of air. There's a cool, crisp breeze blowing across your body, and you suck it in deep. The chill pierces and invigorates your lungs. You stay like that for several moments. Since you can't really even move right now, you really wish you could, since the cold, wet ground feels awful against your back, but your limbs still feel too much like jelly. Somehow, despite how nasty the fall was, you only have a couple of scratches and bruises. Although now that the adrenaline is fading away, the pain is getting significantly worse, on top of intensifying your unhealed injuries from before. You clutch your stomach, fighting against a wave of nausea as your head continues to spin. Oh god, I just got my ass handed to me twice. And now this? Can't a guy catch a break? Ugh. The pain racking your body is getting worse by the minute. Your breathing becomes unsteady, but before it can get out of control, you close your eyes and focus on it. Breathe, Chad. Breathe. The sound of the tree leaves swaying in the wind and the tranquility that comes from it helps you relax, albeit slowly. As your head finally stops spinning, you realize that the sensation is strangely familiar, like you've already had to get used to it before. Thankfully, with each passing second, your strength returns to you more and more. Yo, is that a moth? You slowly open your eyes once again, finding yourself bathed in a ray of sunlight piercing through the dense canopy that warms you despite the cold ground below. It's surprisingly tranquil, and you let out a soft, relieved sigh. The moment is broken, though, as your ears pick up a buzzing sound near your head. Yeah, that's not a good sound. I need to move. You slowly sit back up, the pain having subsided to a dull, full-body ache at this point. You try to brush some of the gunk off of you, but you're coated in mud and a bunch of debris is stuck to it. You let out another sigh, this one of resignation, and turn your gaze back towards the slope you fell down. There's no way I can climb all the way back there. How the hell am I still alive after that? You can feel something tickle you in your ear, causing it to flick uncontrollably. Your body involuntarily cringes and you wave your hand around your head to get whatever it is to go away. However, you quickly notice that what was buzzing around you has a surprisingly beautiful, fluffy body. You quickly stop fanning at it, realizing that it actually seems to have taken an interest in you. Oh! Hey there, little fella. After a moment spent thinking about it, you shrug, raising your hand towards it. To your surprise, it quickly lands on your knuckle. Its tiny feet tickle you as it crawls forward, surprisingly calm for such a tiny little creature. It eventually starts trotting comfortably around your hand, almost like a little dance. The small little moth flaps its long green wings, leaving a little dust around your hand. Suddenly you feel a small sting from the back of your hand, causing you to flinch, startling the moth as you pull your hand back, though it continues to flutter around in front of you. Ah, sorry, buddy. I didn't mean to scare you. As your attention returns to your hand, you spot some blood drooling out of a small cut that you hadn't noticed before. After a moment, though, the dust surrounding it begins to dimly glow, and the cut starts to inexplicably close, tingling all the while. It only takes a couple of seconds to vanish entirely, leaving only a small bead of blood behind. Whoa, what the hell? You stare at your hand, completely dumbfounded. You trace a finger over where the wound once was, and there's no pain at all anymore. Wait, what? No way. How? What? Looking back up, you see that the moth is still hanging in front of you, almost like it's consciously gauging your response, maybe even a little bit proudly? Did you do this? The small moth does 2 flips while flying around. Am I talking to a moth? Oh god. I must have hit my head on my way down. I'm losing it. You shake your head, rubbing your eyes furiously and giving yourself a couple firm pats on either side of your face. Then check once again to see if that cut's still gone. It is. With everything that's happened today, I shouldn't even be surprised anymore, huh? Yep. You're definitely talking to a moth now, Chad. Though surprisingly, the small moth flies from side to side twice, like it's responding. Is that a no? The small moth flies up and down 2 times. Well, thanks, I guess. The small moth does a flip. Yeah, I've totally lost it. You scratch awkwardly at the back of your head with a sigh. You finally begin to force yourself back up to your feet. You're unsteady at first, stumbling and falling back onto your hands and knees before managing to stand fully, wobbling a bit. Now back on your feet, at least sort of, you begin to take stock of your surroundings. The only identifying landmark, unfortunately, continues to be your own trail down the slope behind you. Well, what now? You can feel another tickle in your ear, forcing your attention back to the surprisingly chatty moth. The moth starts flying into the direction of the dense forest, stopping a short distance away before turning back around, flitting in place like it's waiting for you. Are you trying to get me to follow you? The moth merely answers by once again turning back away from you and flying into the brush, quickly disappearing behind a tree. Your gaze lingers in its direction while you stand there, still confused beyond description. Follow the moth. The moth comes back from behind the tree after a moment and flaps its wings, bouncing itself harshly in midair. Some part of your brain wants to fill in this action with a tiny, annoying voice demanding you listen to it. You're not sure why.
Hey, listen!
We were all thinking the same thing. Okay, so, considering everything that's happened already, This is probably a bad idea, but screw it. It's not like I have anything else to go on right now. Fred will be fine. I just have to believe in him. He's more than capable. You finally close the distance between yourself and the moth, who continues to bounce intensely in the air ahead of you. I'm coming, I'm coming. No need to flap your wings off. Make it a few more steps before thought crosses your mind and you stop. Oh, wait. Duh, I'm an idiot. You reach into your pocket, a small sense of relief washing over you as you find your phone still nestled inside, and relatively undamaged to boot. Thank goodness it's not broken. The sense of relief quickly dissipates as you press the power button on the side, though. Low battery and no signal. Awesome. Guess I'm following this moth after all. You move to once again pocket your phone but hesitate, taking a brief moment to turn the volume down before doing so. With everything that's happened today, I'm not taking any more chances. When your attention returns to the moth, you see that it's at least settled down somewhat, but it's still waiting for you there. You really are waiting for me, huh? The moth flies from one side to the other. Is that a yes or a no? The moth flies up and down, then leaves behind the tree out of your sight. Whatever. You finally decide to follow it, stepping into the dense brush once more. The moth continues to fly in front of you, stopping whenever it gets more than a few meters ahead of you for you to wait for you to catch up. I can't be making this up, can I? It seems so intelligent. Hopefully, if it is, it's at least trying to lead me out of here. Without slowing down, it bobs up and down in the air, like it has a couple times before. I didn't say anything. What are you nodding for? It stops, waiting once again for you to catch up, and flitting back and forth while it waits. Man, I really just wish you could talk. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. As you keep walking, following the small moth friend that you just made, the forest remains dense. Shadows of the leaves loom over you with occasional gaps for the sunlight to pierce through, warming the otherwise cold earth beneath your feet. After a while of following the moth in whatever direction it's taking you, you realize that you're not alone with it. As you walk, more and more moths are joining you, all seemingly headed in the same direction. What am I getting myself into? Shouldn't I be looking out for Fred? You're quickly lost in thought as you follow the moth, with too many things weighing on your mind to keep your focus on it. And come to think of it, what the hell is making those screeches earlier? Certainly didn't sound like any creature I've ever heard before. Maybe it has to do with that weird creature in the woods that people have been talking about? You catch some strange movement from the moth in your peripheral vision. You turn to face it, but in doing so, finally notice that there are now many more pairs of wings following along with you and your little friend. Whoa. Are these all friends of yours? The moth keeps flying, offering no response whatsoever. After a bit more walking, you can begin to make out a faint light concentrated in a single spot, and the closer you get, then more and more wings join you, flying like mesmerizing currents in the same direction as you. Moth. Hi, friend. Once you get close to the light, the currents all flow towards it, but it takes your eyes a moment to adjust to whatever they're surrounding. Once you see clearly, though, you notice a big figure on its knees, pawing aimlessly at the dirt in front of it. You quickly throw yourself behind a nearby tree and nervously peek out. You watch as more and more currents of wings flown from other directions, all surrounding the figure, as if in some ceremonial dance around it, all moving perfectly in sync. It looks like they're dancing? You notice your little moth friend hasn't joined them, instead hovering right next to you, bobbing smoothly up and down, but you're too focused on the thing in the clearing to pay it too much attention. What the hell is that thing? Well, what if it's dangerous? I've never seen any species like that. Is it some kind of new mix? Like, I don't know, a sheep that somehow inherited more arms and a pair of wings? Like my boar fangs? Or maybe it's... Your little friend flies directly in front of your face, weaving side to side. Is this what you wanted to show me? It nods once again. I thought you were showing me a way back down the mountain. It answers you with a flip. That doesn't make me feel any better, you know. It flutters in front of you for a moment longer before turning, curving around the tree and heading towards the big one. It stops halfway between the two of you, turning back towards you once again, then flies in a small circle, almost like it's beckoning you. Yeah, no, sorry, bud. Following a moth into the woods is as crazy as I'm willing to go to. Your thoughts are interrupted by several small points of pressure on your back, pushing you with a distressing amount of force. You look back to see a number of moths and other insects pushing you forward, and you can't fight against them. Hey, what the hell? As you're pushed out of your hiding spot behind the tree, your attention inevitably shifts, panicked, to the bigger creature, and you watch as the little moth flies casually up to it. The big creature's antennae perk up, and its attention shifts towards the tiny moth. It calmly lifts a hand, and the moth lands gingerly on it. All the while, the insects behind you continue to push you further into the clearing, inevitably causing it to notice you. It instantly stands up, taking a few steps back while carefully pulling the tinier moth closer to its body. You gulp nervously, a cold sweat forming along your forehead as you're pushed even closer towards it. Damn it, I have to do something before this turns out really bad. You say a small prayer, then finally take charge, stepping forward slowly and carefully of your own volition. The insects at your back disperse once you do. Hi, I'm sorry for scaring you. I promise I mean you no harm. The big creature stands before you, still as a statue, as his eyes scan you from head to toe. Like an emissary of peace, your moth friend takes off from the big thing's hand and begins to fly back towards you calmly. Now that I think about it, maybe it's a moth, too? Their wings look pretty similar. As your little friend closes the gap towards you, you give the big guy another look over. He's got 4 arms, a ring of thick fluff around his neck, and two red antennae that look somewhat like horns. A pair of wings extend out from beneath his fluff, draped over his shoulders and down his back like an elegant flowing cape. Though no matter how hard you look, you can't seem to spot a mouth or ears or anything like that. As your little friend gets closer, you slowly extend your hand towards it once more, and it lands peacefully on the tip of your index finger. The big moth guy's eyes go wide, as if he's realized something shocking. Noticing this, you take another gulp and summon up the courage to talk to him once again. Can you talk? He flinches, then awkwardly looks at the ground and begins to nervously poke all 4 of his index fingers together. Hiya! Cheeks turning a little bit pink. An awkward silence fills the space between you, and he only occasionally looks up at you before his eyes dart back to the ground. Maybe not. Okay, let me try asking something else. Can you understand me? Let's just go with Mothman looks at you once more, timidly nodding his head. You breathe a small sigh of relief, grateful that you're at least getting somewhere. Okay, good. Then let me reiterate. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm just really, really lost. You raise the hand that the tiny moth is riding on towards him, making sure your movements are measured. Oh, it's fine. Wieners are turned off. We turn the wieners off. Making sure your movements are measured and slow so as not to startle the big guy. This little one led me here to you, which is why I'm here now. His gaze remains locked on you, but he shyly rubs at his elbow with one of his hands. He apparently still doesn't fully trust you yet. Your moth friend begins to flap its wings, weakly pulling your finger towards the bigger one. Are you a moth? The big mothman tilts his head, confused by your question. Then his gaze shifts downward, and one of his hands comes up to his chin? Or whatever on him counts as one, as he attempts to process what you mean. You use your other hand to point towards the tiny moth, who's still trying, and failing, to pull you closer towards the big one. You know, a moth. Like this little guy. Ah, okay. The Mothman almost jumps and nods enthusiastically, finally understanding your meaning. You nod in turn, a smile crossing your muzzle as you slowly begin to relax a little around him. I see. Well, I'm a Doberman. The big moth tilts his head once more. Oh, a dog? Like, bark bark and stuff? His eyes close and he tilts his head once again, but this time more playfully, even making a noise that you think might be a laugh. You figure he at least somewhat gets what you mean, but you're definitely speculating. So, you have a name? He nods at you, getting on his knees and beginning to scribble in the dirt with a finger. but it's too small to see. I can't really see it from here. Your moth little friend flies back towards him. He lifts another hand without looking, and the tiny one perches once again on that raised hand. Is it okay if I come closer? The big moth nods happily, clearly becoming more comfortable with your presence as well. Okay, just please don't do anything to me either. The big moth shakes his head and looks at you with gentle, happy eyes. They're actually fairly expressive, which is probably a good thing since he has no other features to read at all. Still, with careful measured steps, you close the distance between the two of you, crouching down next to him as he slowly rocks back and forth, quietly humming to himself as he draws. Though when you actually check to see what he's drawn, you see it's just a load of gibberish. There's no discernible pattern whatsoever. It just looks like somebody threw a bunch of letter magnets to a refrigerator door and called it good enough. Though when you look back up at him, you find him staring at you like an expectant puppy, as if what he had drawn made perfect sense. You nervously resign yourself to your fate and return your gaze to the jumbled mess of letters. S-C-O-L-S again? So your name is... Skullsdafolds? His eyes narrow and his horn-like antenna curl downwards. Sorry, I really have no idea what it says. His angry stare fades quickly and he lets out another one of those giggle-like sounds, seemingly in response to your own laughter. Do you know what a name is? Let's actually check to see what
Self-voicing enabled. Chad, so your name is Skullsdaflodes.
Skullsdaflodes.
Self-voicing disabled.
Do you know what a name is? The big moth nods. Is that what you were trying to draw? The moth shakes his head. The big moth just watches you as you shake your head. Are we just going to communicate with yes and no? He answers you by drawing more in the wet dirt, but once again, it's nothing but gibberish. Do you even know what your name is? He freezes in place, eyes wide, but they quickly turn somber, his antenna drooping a bit as he shakes his head. Oh, well, how about I give you a name then? How about... You scan the mess of gibberish, trying to discern something usable from all the squiggles and lines. All the while, the big moth continues to idly trace more on the ground, seemingly enjoying himself quite a bit. I see you like to draw a lot. The mothman nods happily. Well, let's see then. You really seem like you really seem to like circular shapes, so... Mothawk? Is that how it's pronounced?
Self-voicing enabled. Chad, Mothawk. Self-voicing disabled.
His antenna shoots straight up and he turns to you, nodding furiously. Face once again a dim shade of pink. You like it? I mean, it's not exactly perfect. I kinda just came up with it on the spot. Despite your light hesitance, he continues to beam at you, slowly rocking side to side with glee. You suddenly begin to feel very bad about getting him so excited over such a hastily thrown together name. Are you sure? It's not even that creative. I mean, I just threw moth in front of OC because that's what your drawing kind of looked like. I can definitely come up with something better if I... He shakes his head furiously, one of his big hands lunging towards yours and grabbing it, shaking it firmly. The act makes you jump at first, but you quickly settle once you realize he's just excited. Alright, if you say so. Mothawk it is then. Wait. Mothawk looks at you, waiting for you to continue, but your eyes are focused on the hand he's still clinging onto you with. Looks like there's some kind of bruise around his wrist. Noticing what you're staring at his hand, Mothawk flinches, quickly retracting it and covering his face to hide a far more radiant blush that had crossed his cheeks. No, wait! May I see that hand again, actually? He peeks at you from behind his hands, blinking in surprise at you for a moment before slowly extending that hand back over to you, which you carefully take once again to get a closer look. Mothawk's hands are soft to the touch and very warm, but your attention is more focused on a furless ring around his wrist. It's hard to see, covered up by the thick fur surrounding it, but it's definitely there. In fact, it looks like one of those bruises on every single one of his wrists. You carefully brush that fur back, only getting a very brief glimpse at the strange unhealthy color of the improperly healed bruise before. Mothawk flinches, pulling his hand back and covering it up with another hand, almost like he's protecting it from you. Ah, sorry. I didn't realize it was that sensitive. Can I see it again? I promise I'll be more careful this time. He looks at you for a moment, showing a small amount of hesitation before turning his hand to you carefully. You give him a comforting smile before once again taking his hand, brushing the fur back once more as carefully as you possibly can, which seems to spare the poor moth any pain this time. It's a sickly purple color, and your ears droop at the sad sight. Based on how he reacted when you even lightly touched it without thinking, it's clearly uncomfortable for him. Just as you start to ponder what you can do, though, you remember your own wound from before. You quickly look back around, finding the tinier moth fluttering above Mothawk's shoulder, watching the whole interaction from above. Hey, wait. Do you think you can help him out, too? Little moth seems to catch on to your meaning, fluttering down onto the back of Mothawk's hand. Just stand still, alright? Mothawk nods, focusing on the tinier moth as it crawls towards his wrist with an almost childlike curiosity. The little moth proceeds to flap its wings, the same dust as before dispersing from its wings and coating the bruise, filling the air with a distinctive pollen-like smell that tickles your nose. Just like before, the dust emits a dim glow, and the gross color begins to dissipate from Mothawk's wrists. His eyes remain glued on his wrists, totally enthralled by the sight. You don't notice it right away, but his eyes have begun to glow as well. There we go. Does it still hurt? You apply a very small amount of pressure on the bare spot, carefully watching him for any sudden flinches or signs that you're hurting him. Thankfully, he doesn't react at all, so you breathe a small sigh of relief, happy it seems to have worked. I still don't really understand it, but I'm glad it worked. You freeze as your eyes meet and you finally notice her shine. You blink a few times trying to figure out exactly what you're looking at. Whoa. Before you can really process, though, Mothawk suddenly grabs you with all four of his arms and lifts you up off the ground in a tight bear hug, burying your face in his neck fluff as he does. The pollen-like scent is overwhelming with your nose pressed to him. It's actually very soft and comforting for a moment, until he begins to swing you from side to side, spinning around in a small circle all over the clearing, clearly already doing a lot better. Whoa, put me down, put me down! Mothawk abruptly stops at the flinch, quickly returning your feet to the ground with a slow, careful movement, releasing you and backing away a few steps awkwardly. Aww. He doesn't understand social cues. His antennae are drooping and he looks away from you, visibly ashamed. You take a moment to shake away the dizziness, taking a deep breath to fully right yourself once more before tenderly patting his arm to comfort him. Hey, it's okay, buddy. You just startled me is all. Little tears in his eyes. Ah! Despite your soothing words, Mothawk still looks back up at you with sad, guilty eyes. Really, it's okay, Mothawk. No need to be sad. You grin and then point to your mouth with the other hand. Come on, give me a smile. You instantly realize your mistake. It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up. But Mothawk seems to respond positively all the same. His expression brightens back up, finally calmed down once again. There we go, that's more like it. If anything, you should be saying thanks to little You look back to see where the little moth was, but you can't see it anymore. Wait, where did it go? You scan your surroundings, expecting to find something, but suddenly, you and Mothawk are completely alone in the clearing. Even the other insects have all vanished. Hold up. We got network issues. Yay. Do you know where it went? Mothawk shakes his head, eyes never breaking away from you. Wouldn't surprise you if he wasn't even looking. Oh, alright. Well, either way, it was the little guy who helped you, so be sure to say thanks next time you see it, okay? Mothok nods excitedly. You can't tell if he's actually agreeing with the sentiment or just agreeing with you on impulse. For your own sanity, you choose to believe the former. Good, good. It's really important to show gratitude to people that have helped you, you know? I'm one to talk. Maybe I should listen to my own advice. Never let a good deed go without gratitude. At least, that's what my mom used to say. He gets a puzzled look again, once again tilting his head to the side. What? He looks down, looking a little awkward all of a sudden. Do you have a mom? He shakes his head, then looks back up at you expectantly. Wait, do you know what a mom... never mind. Moms are... You awkwardly scratch your chin as you ponder your wording. How the hell do you describe a mom to somebody who doesn't know? Moms are somebody who's always there for you, I guess. Someone that usually lives with you and cares about you, and loves you no matter what. Or supposed to, at least. Do you have someone like that? He lights up once again, nodding enthusiastically. Oh, thank God. Maybe if I can figure out where this person is, I can take this poor guy to them so he's not wandering around in the woods alone. Ah, cool. So, where's that person for you? Do you know? He brings a hand up to his chin, eyes shifting upwards as he thinks hard about your question, leaving an awkward silence in the air. As the seconds tick by, you get more and more confused as you look up at him. As you stare, waiting for some kind of response, you start to feel a little lightheaded, but you shake it off. When you look back up at Mothok, his eyes seem to have finally trailed to the forest behind you, and a moment later, he lifts a hand and points back the way you came, towards the mountain. Ah, so she's that way, huh? You know, she might be pretty worried about you. You should probably head back now, yeah? He twitches, antenna pointed straight up for just a moment before they droop, and he shyly looks away. A small blush crossing his cheeks as he pushes his index fingers together. Now that I think of it, Fred might be coming this way from that direction, too. If he's okay, that is. Mothok tilts his head at you once again. Sorry. Fred's a friend of mine. I was just thinking out loud. No need to worry. But, hey, would you happen to know a way out of this forest? You know, down the mountain? Mothok notices what you're trying to say and looks down to his fingers, twiddling his thumbs quietly while awkwardly glancing around. Eventually, though, his gaze returns behind you, eyes shifting to you, and then back to the path almost instantly, like he's trying to tell you something. He gets impatient quickly, though, walking past you a few paces before turning and firmly pointing with two hands back up the trail more firmly. No, I came from that way. I meant to way down, not back into the forest. He ponders what you said for a moment before pulling his arms back a bit, then thrusting them back towards the path once again. You sure? He gives you a confident nod, finally lowering his arms back to his side. Alright, if you say so. Already followed one moth to get here. What's the harm in following another? He nods once more, then motions for you to follow with all four of his hands before turning and trotting quite happily off. He stops after a few steps to make sure you're following, though. Well, if I ever make it back home, at least I'll have quite the story to tell. You let out a sigh and begin to follow him. To be continued. Ooh. Mothok's there. Oh my god. I definitely should have saved. I should have saved. So I'm going to do that real quick. I should have saved. I should have. Yes, as of now, Mr. Lorenzo is more powerful than Jenny. But just ever so slightly. Right here. I'm going to save right here. Oh my god. Okay, let me check something real quick. I remember the flowers wasn't released yet. That one wasn't released yet. What about Cilio? Not yet. Yeah. So, we need to decide the next game, so we're gonna do that real quick. To Twitter. Alright, y'all might want to see it. And then... right here. Let me get that up. Okay. We finished everything in... so far. Can't spell to save my life. Okay, so we're just going to like add the standard ones, you know, tennis aces, and then one last night. Anyone have any suggestions for the fourth one? Yes. Oh my God, Violet Memoir. Yeah. I'm actually kind of curious about that one, so I'm going to... Did I already, like... Oh, right. Looks interesting. Okay, well, we're going to set that to there. Well, it's all going to be voted for over the next 21 hours. Over the next 21 hours, this is going to be open. So, yeah. And there we go. Not much else can be said, so, stay safe, have a good night, and I will see you all tomorrow.